Alrighty, guys. Hajim Zero here, back with a somewhat controversial movie review, and it's not like hurting feelings controversial. It's more like in the anime community controversial. And by this piece is it's Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, and oh boy, I'm somewhat scared, but somewhat not because you know. Looking into the science of this movie and looking at the over many times watching it, I realized I was only following the trend of hating it like everybody else. So I'm gonna start off with talking with the plot, and there will be spoilers, but I doubt anyone would possibly care unless they never seen this movie and they really took an interest and wanted to see it. But just to let you know, spoilers, possibly in the very beginning as I talk about the story. So Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within is a CG movie. It's somewhat loosely, not I use the term loosely, but it's created. The creators are the ones that made the game, but technically this movie was made for an American audience because it was more money. And then most of the animators uh, are American, but the lead director who created the game, I believe, he is the director of this movie. Um, Even the lead character is named after his mother who had passed. So it is kind of sad that that happened to him, and then how received badly received his movie was. So the plot of the movie is that it's in a distant future. I think it's like 2030 something. I could be wrong. You can correct me, but in the gap between, say like 10 or some odd years, some alien meteorite had landed and it had brought like a bunch of these creatures called phantoms. This is one on the screen right now in the red. And they were just going around eating, sucking out a lot of the life that was around it, around itself. And the human beings, they retreated into pretty much in these energy barrier cities where they can't cross. And I don't you can take this as a science or a supernatural thing. I believe it crosses in both. But you know apparently they can't cross it, and I'm saying that supernatural piece for a reason because it is a spoiler that I'm about to say. So they created these energy barrier cities when they realized that they couldn't really cross because the way, like you saw on the screen, they're translucent, and the biothermic electrical energy is pretty much a shield. Um, it's confirmed by what the characters have said, and of course, in what we see. New York has been barriered. Moscow has been barriered. Well, possibly. I don't know if it got overran. And San Francisco was barriered. The general in the movie talks about his kids being there, and I think Aki, who is the main character, the one's director's mom's name is she's the one that mentioned Moscow. And if you watch the DVD features, they mention Houston, Texas as well. But of course, it's not in the movie, so we don't know if the city's still up. But around by the end of the movie, you realize that the New York city barrier has been overrun. But again, I'm gonna get to the spoiler story. That was just me getting a little bit sidetracked. Pretty much, the two main doctors, later in the movie, she discovers that the aliens are actually dead. What they've been fighting have been ghosts. Pretty much a highly, energy wave of ghosts. So, the reason why I said the science of it, if you watch like paranormal investigators or any of those shows, they have those EVP cameras that pick up energy. I can't remember the actual term. And when they go off, that means usually it's an apparition or a ghost there. And if you take martial arts or believe in the mythology of most of the martial arts, even outside of Asia, they believe that when you channel your ki, you can use it as an effective weapon. It's pretty much, it's not just the physical part of your body when you throw a punch. It's the key or the chi that's really giving the power. And you're trained to concentrate that into your fist, most likely your knuckle, or if you do a karate chop in the base of where your pinky is. So it's not that too far fetched. I want to say they have good proof. Personally, I haven't seen it. I haven't ran up on anyone that said that they seen these biothermic, energy waves and said it was an apparition when there was no physical body there. But it goes a little bit deeper into the Gaia theory, that the planet itself has a spirit as well as every living thing, and that's why I went to the martial arts aspect, because that's what most of the monks believe in, not killing, just the basic creatures like a roach or a cockroach. A roach or a cockroach, wow. But it's pretty much a little bit goes into uh Christian belief, how your body or the spirit returns back to God, and how your body goes back into the earth. Again, it's a good somewhat contrast, and many people can see where it's coming from. But again, it is just a theory, and the good thing, I thought it was fake when I saw the movie. Is a real actual theory. Even the term Gaia is comes from the Greek goddesses, I believe. But again, you got Google, you can research deeper into. I had to make sure it was real, and because the more and more I heard it, and I don't know anyone in the science community that's really spoken on it, and that could be an additional reason why the movie was badly received, because of the science of that part. But so pretty much in the story, they find out, well, the doctor does, that they're fighting ghosts and spirits. And the funny thing, they really didn't give a main reason why and how they turned into spirits, because in her dreams, it saw that they're on the alien planet. They were fighting each other, and then the planet just exploded, and it left a lot of pieces of questions. And the movie doesn't really explain it. I had a feeling if they did do a sequel, they would have explained it, or if they would have went some. It's like, to me, it's much more to the movie than what we were just given. But like I said, the way it was badly received, they didn't exercise on it at all. So just telling you the story, the spoilers, that's pretty much what it was. Now I'm gonna get a little bit on the technical side and behind the scenes. And for starters, what I'm going to say, I think why this movie was panned, it was panned by the anime fan community. It really wasn't that. It was like, I want to say, like in the middle, like 50-50 with the movie critics, because this was the first full CG movie that actually showed people, and it was shown in theaters. And even they had famous actors and actresses doing the voices. Like they had Alec Baldwin, Donald Sutherland, Ming-Na that played Mulan, Steve Buscemi, Ving, Rhames, Keith David. Just by saying those names, it's some good acting credibility. And even the way the characters move, watching the documentary, they even based, those performances off the actors and actresses themselves, especially like Donald Sutherland and General Hine. That chiseled, sinister look. How he strokes his chin. With Donald Sutherland putting his hand on the side of his face. So the good thing is that all these actors and actresses, I've seen their live action performances, and I really loved them. Like Donald Sutherland. Seeing him in A Time to Kill. And of course James Woods in Ghost of Mississippi, and John Q, and Alec Baldwin in the same movie of Ghost of Mississippi, and a few other films he was in. But getting back on track, looking at the story now, one of the cons is that it didn't give a little bit, it didn't give like more information on the Gaia theory. Like the deep, heavy research. If this movie was made now, they probably would have, because of how technical, people are and things. And also another bad con, I think the movie would have stood out more and not been as hated if it didn't have the Final Fantasy title in front of it. I think they did it just to sell, the name and movie tickets. But the good thing I can say, it wasn't an outside source, that talked to Squaresoft, now Square Enix, and said, can we use the name to make the movie? Because even some of the phantom creatures that are in there in the scenes and in the movies, some of them are from the game. But this is how I say a little bit too much fandom can kill something, and it's one of the reasons why I'm not heavy into the anime anymore, because now everybody literally knows about it. It was a unique thing when it came out, in the early 90s and late 80s, and some of the other films, anime films, and the animators I'm going to talk about even further, because now everybody's using it. And my issue with it is that the art style looks the same. It's pretty much like with hip hop now. Everybody sounds the same. You either got the auto tune or the mumble rappers. It's either one or the other. Now the mumble rap is all high. But when I review Akira, I'm gonna go in more detail of why I personally like the old school stuff, because not everyone draws the same, including me. So I hate when someone say something is better than something, but it's not really. It's their style. It's just like how they approach something. It's the same subject matter, but they execute it a little bit differently. But this is how I see it, to the opinionated people that might hate me for this review, and even hate this film. The video game Mass Effect was heavily inspired by this film, as well as Blade Runner. And I haven't played much of Mass Effect, but even some of the characters, one in particular that I now just saw the character profile for, I think the character in this movie, his name is Neil. I think he was the basic premise for Joker. Only difference is that I think Joker was a paraplegic. Again, you can correct me because I'm not a Mass Effect fan. All I've seen is what my friends have played, going to their house and stuff on YouTube, Watch Mojo. But I hate when people. It's one thing when you're an audience member and you're a fan and you grew up watching or playing something, and then you see a movie and they completely destroy it. But me kind of getting into the writing, and I'm not going to say filmmaking, because I heard Justin Lin on Fast and Furious say that, stepping on the other side of the camera, he had to approach it not like a fan. He had to approach it like a film, like telling a continuing story, and not, pardon my French, nut off to the fan fiction of what people probably wanted him to do. Because if you've seen it played it so many times, you're not going to want to watch it. And even Robert Kirkman had said this, this is why The Walking Dead games and books he never really wanted to cross it over technically with the characters, because the best analogy he used is with the Avengers, with Thor and Captain America. You watch the film, you see them interacting and hanging out. You play the game, you see them acting and hanging out. You read the comics, you see them acting and hanging out. So, like I said, this movie is not that, it isn't bad. And after the many times I've seen it, and took a step back and looked at the factor, if you took the lore or just the name Final Fantasy out of the title and not have it associated with anything, even if they did this movie live action, I think it would have been good. It would have been the gap between the science and the religion a little bit, so it's kind of funny how people don't think of that way. They jump on a bandwagon, most of the time, the loudest dog who barks gets the most attention. And then that's what started with this film. So, even though I watched everything wrong with Final Fantasy, whatever minutes number it was kind of funny. But it still didn't change my opinion on it, because, I see potential in bad, stuff all the time. If I take a step back, especially if it's based off of something, and people always, again, pardon my French, bitch and complain about the little small things, but when they can't step back and see the story, then yeah, it shows a little bit how simple-minded they are, just a tad bit. So, like I stated, if you have an issue with this, then you might as well hate Mass Effect, even though people I know hated the third one, but I know 1 and 2 did very, very well. You might as well hate those properties that it's based off of, because I kind of, you know, somewhat subliminally hinted at it when I saw my friends play the game, like even looking at the concept art, like some of these armors and helmets look a tad bit familiar, but of course Mass Effect kicked it, expanded and pushed it in so much gear that I didn't have to take time to even notice. And speaking of story, with some of the characters individually, all of them, it seemed like there was more lore, and I hate it when they condense it 9 times out of 10 to just what we see in the movie. But it is their, people's project piece. Their main focus was possibly telling, the story and of course the Gaia theory. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, I'm kind of curious to know if anyone will even comment, because at this point no one's commenting. They're just watching my videos and seeing the views. Only like one person, two people actually commented, but one of them had got I think he deleted it. Could have been advertising or something. But I see you guys in the next one. The next upcoming videos is gonna be Final Fantasy Advent Children, and then the next version, which is the complete version, and then the latest one that came out, I think it was 15, King's Grave or something like that. So that's what you guys gotta look forward to, and I check you guys later. Peace.